saying that last Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. What do we want to hit the people with? Nah, too slow. Nah, give them something good. Nah, too in the club. Too ethnic. Perfect. Who said that? What the fuck is going on a Thursday in the worst way? Who said that? Joe Rogan got canceled and now he's back. Who said that? Neil Young never gave a fuck about Joe Rogan. Who said that? He said that. He didn't give a fuck about misinformation. He said that. It was all just a ploy just to get more money from Amazon. Who said that? He said that. He let it slip through the fucking crack. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Thursday in the worst way with your bae. Hey, it's your boy. Hey, stupid. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to Thursday, okay? Starting off with a banger. Sometimes I gotta hit you with the classic song. Who said that? We're not getting into this again. Listen, Thursday, if it's your first time here, strap in, baby. Strap in. Strap on and strap in, huh? Who said that? More controversy coming out. If you're first time, welcome. Okay, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It helps the podcast. Watching on all platforms. All platforms. It's all black helicopters. It's all conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? The plot thickens in this debacle. It's a big news thing because it's interesting and it's important to pick a side. And if you're not on the side of Joe Rogan with this kind of free speech and what is happening, this hit piece, well, you can gladly wrap up your dinner in foil and fuck off. Didn't need to be that aggressive, but when you're part of the revolution, sometimes you gotta be, okay? The plot thickens with this whole debacle going on where Joe Rogan is dealing with all this attempt to deplatform him, get him removed. Neil Young, you playing tiddlywinks with motherfuckers' lives, okay? Because now the story is changing. Neil Young and his heart of gold came out and said, hey, Joe Rogan's not the problem. It's the CEO of Spotify. He came out and clarified that when he just got done saying that if Joe Rogan isn't removed, remove him. Motherfucker, you saw an opportunity and took it. Now fuck with your music, okay? I do. But this has gone too far because it's ridiculous. He wants to clarify that it was the CEO who is the problem and the way he runs Spotify, not Joe Rogan. Okay, well, you made it very fucking confusing because you just stated all this stuff about misinformation about vaccines. You basically saw an opportunity to get out of your contract with Spotify and get a deal with Amazon. Seems awfully convenient that you had another deal just ready, and maybe it was just opportunistic of Amazon. You didn't tell me Amazon's not opportunistic? Come on now. He walked back what he said about Joe Rogan in the sense of saying that the CEO is the problem. He wrote this letter. He says, to all the musicians and creators in this world, I say to you, you must be able to find a better place than Spotify to be a home of your art. To the workers at Spotify, I say Daniel Ek is your problem, not Joe Rogan. Ek pulls the strings. Get out of that place before it eats up your soul. The goals stated by Ek are about numbers, not art, not creativity. It was a ploy to get over to Amazon and strike a deal. Oh, that's what I wrote about it. That was weird. I'm all, see, he just said it. It was end of quotations right after creativity. I think this was a ploy to get over to Amazon and strike a deal. I do. And here's the thing. Here's the reality of the situation. When this comes out, if Neil Young had started with this and say, listen, Spotify does not pay its artists enough for streams. He's making too much money off of them. They're getting pennies on the penny for views and every single song stream, because that's been a real issue for a while now. If this is completely valid, if he had just made this argument that from the beginning it was an issue with artists not making their money, because I agree with him on this. I agree with Neil Young on this point that artists are not making enough money from streaming on these platforms. They're not getting a fair wage compared to the amount of, I guess, time they're spending on, people are spending on these streaming platforms. And it's, I don't know what the solution is, because it's easy to say, we'll just pay the artist more. But I don't know the nuts and bolts of how the business is run. And that's probably by design to make it more confusing for people to not just be able to make money off of it. And I think what was deceptive about what Neil Young has done is the fact that he went this route with it, with not trying to just come out and make a stand for music artists. He decided to run Joe Rogan through the mud for what he considers misinformation. And then, which started this snowball effect of seeing an opportunity to go at Joe Rogan by all these different organizations, which there's some weird shit going on. If you know about Sagar and Crystal and Breaking Points, it's this unbiased news station on YouTube, on the YouTubes. Very, very authentic, honest people with the way they lay out news and information. And Sagar did a deep dive on the money trail of where this hit job came from on Joe Rogan. And there's ties to Amazon. There's ties to, I think it's called the Patriot Act. No, Patriot Group. This is a group of people that are, funded by the Democratic Party. And there's ties and there's opportunity. There's money being made in different ways. There's people who are part of Spotify who sell high, hit job, it tumbles 24 billion or whatever the stock went down over this hit piece. They buy back low. This is like shit that happens all the time. This happens in the crypto market all the time. This is why it's so unstable, because it's not regulated with cryptocurrency. That's why some people can make a lot of money, but they're only making that money because people are losing money at the same exact time. It's kind of crazy. It's not like everybody just makes money from cryptocurrency. Someone has to lose money on their investment to be able for those people to pull out profits. That's the only way it works. And it seems like something like this is happening with Spotify. It's a good way to wring out some profits. Sell high, buy back low, and Joe Rogan being such a polarizing figure on there, it's an easy target. And it even was a miscalculation by me, even for me, as if I know anything in the world. Because I thought that this, if you listen to Tuesday's episode, I thought this just seemed like it was more of a political move, that it was more motivated because Joe Rogan is starting to have influence, pharmaceutical companies not liking this, they have to kind of decredit him, which I think is true in a lot of senses, that they're trying to give him, they don't have a Trump anymore. I think it's a 3 or 4 headed monster. They don't have Trump anymore. So media is suffering. So they need a new character, a new villain who actually gets clicks. Outside of Donald Trump, Joe Rogan might be the biggest media person that can get clicks outside of Donald Trump and outside of the Kardashians. That might be it on who can actually keep news going so fucking much. So they're constantly going to keep going at him. So it's a combination of that, maybe a combination that he actually is getting too powerful, and these people who manipulate markets between Amazon and Spotify see an opportunity to make money. So it's kind of a perfect storm and reason why this would come together to attack him, if that makes sense. It might not. It's just a theory. You can poke holes in it, okay? Yeah, that is my unbiased, no credit, unknown, no sources, opinion on that. That's all we get, ladies and gentlemen, okay? But I just wish that Neil Young would have came at it different. You know, if you really don't feel like Joe Rogan is the problem, and you know, and a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon, say it up front, because you're doing a lot of damage, Neil Young. You're discrediting your own legacy. This is how you're going to be remembered, sadly, in the current world. This is how you're going to be remembered. Rather than the elder statesman of a music artist who stood up for other younger music artists who weren't in the same financial situation as you to make a difference. Because that's what you have. If you really think it's about artists, lead with this. Start by saying, listen, creators, all of this, we need to change the way Spotify is for you. I'm doing this because of you. It almost seems like maybe he didn't realize the blowback of taking this stance would have been and using Joe Rogan as a scapegoat. He should have led with that. People would have liked you a lot more, and they would have probably supported you more on it, you know? What else we got going on, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. Sometimes it just feels like you're taking crazy pills in the world, huh? You know, there's just so much going on, so much weirdness in the world. That's why you just got to focus on yourself, okay? You just got to try to fix your world and stay focused on that. Sometimes I don't think we're meant to be part of all these issues and all this stuff going on in the world and all this news and this world news and everything bad that's happening. It's like our brains are designed to stay informed with negative stuff so we can, for safety purposes. That's why people gossip. That's like, there's that book, I forgot what it's called, Sex at Dawn. Was that it? It's a book about, maybe it's called Tribe. It's a book about prehistoric humans and some of the things we do now that are just in our genes, where we do these things to protect ourselves, like gossip, for example. That was something that prehistoric humans would use to map out safety of new people, things that are going on in the tribes. Oh, there's a new person that came to town. Well, what did they do? And blah, 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 blah. But since those fears and that safety is not necessary as much anymore, it creates like a gluttony of gossip and a gluttony of information. Sometimes that feels like what social media is, and being part of all these different problems that are going on in the world. And it goes from a point of staying informed to a point of we're over-informed. And therefore, like this is a college debate, therefore, we're misinformed because we have way too much going on and we can't really grasp onto what actually is important. And that could be by design. Look at all the things that are going on, the news, the media, everything's like, all this stuff is happening and we're just like, fuck, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I just got to kind of stay here and just keep watching the news to just, you know, be ready for whatever the fuck happens, you know? Because that's what it feels like sometimes, especially during the pandemic, when like it felt important to stay involved in the news, in the media, and just staying up to date because everything was always changing. The news fucking loved it. They were like, yeah, we have these people fucking sitting on the edge of their seat. So let's constantly be putting out new data, new stories, any fringe material we could get. Let's fucking put it out there because it's going to keep people glued even longer, or we're just making in money over and over. Money, hand over fist, as the kids call it. And I think really there's a certain point where people have to detach. And it's sad because the people who are still so attached to it are just like, wow, so you don't care about the world's problems because they're glued to it. They're fucking stuck to it. It's like they're hooked up to a fucking brainwashing thing and they're just like, and they see someone else who's walking away from the screen and they're like, whoa, 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 don't you care about what's going on? And then try to guilt you to get back your fucking brain sucking machine off of you. This fucking pandemic's made me sound like a crazy person. Okay. But this is the counter to it. It's almost, that's the thing, is there almost is comfort. And this is something I always try to understand, are people's motivation for why they would give into this kind of lifestyle. When, you know, we all have friends and people who are just glued to all the drama, and they're glued to every problem and telling other people how to live and what they should do with their life and everything. It's a great distraction from actually having to deal with what's going on in your own life. If you just fill up your plate with other people's problems and the world's problems that you really don't have control over, it's a phenomenal distraction and excuse builder to not have to focus on your own problems. But here's the fucked up part. Those problems are still going to be there no matter what. And guess what? The devil comes for what he said to do. Listen, on the last second, I tried making a really cool metaphor and I fumbled through it because I knew it was going to be really cool if I could make up a metaphor with the devil in it and his payment, something that was in my mind. I knew broadly what I wanted to say. And then I panicked midway and I fumbled over my own words because I was like, this is going to sound cool, but we're fucking it up. But the devil, listen, you got to pay the tax if you want to play the sax. But it's true, ladies and gentlemen. It's true. On another note, let's change gears. Is anybody even watching the Winter Olympics? The Winter Olympics are happening right now. And they're weirdly happening in China. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it hasn't really been running on these news cycles. I have to see it on Instagram pages. But it's like media is so... I don't know if you remember. Do you remember when John Cena apologized to China because he acknowledged, I think it was Taiwan, as a country? And since China doesn't want to acknowledge that Taiwan is a country, John Cena, when he was doing a movie premiere, he said the country of Taiwan, and China was livid. And he had to come out and he spoke fucking perfect Mandarin. He was like, hello. Like he just like literally kept speaking Mandarin fluently to the point where I was like, John Cena is a goddamn robot. It was the weirdest thing. This is the same John Cena who's like, can't see me. Hey, top 3 greatest WWE intro songs. Do 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 do. And then he's rapping his own shit. I fucking love it. John Cena has a banger of a walkout song. Okay, sometimes every now and then I put it on my workout playlist and I just fucking, dude. John Cena would whoop another man's ass in fucking jean shorts, just looking like he's going out there to fucking lay concrete. All right. That's what his wrestling outfit would be more at home on, is a bodybuilder who moonlights as a fucking cement man, just getting out there pouring concrete in his fucking blue jean shorts, takes it off when it gets hot, his shirt, and he's just jacked. And you're like, dude, that concrete guy fucking hits the weights. He's using all his wages on the juice. Okay. What athlete can get in there and win a Royal Rumble in jean shorts? Only a man disciplined enough to learn Mandarin to appease the Chinese government. We fucking stuttered through that one too, ladies and gentlemen. But it's the weirdest thing ever that no one wants to talk about the Winter Olympics, the media and everything. These points that I'm making, not that they're just not acknowledging the sports and everything going on, but there's so much weird stuff happening at the Chinese Olympics. Beijing, I believe it is. I could be completely wrong. It might not even be Beijing. Beijing. That's how I say it. Oh yeah. Oh, apparently we're ranked 10th. Oof. Terrible. What's happening? There's all these things. They have the, what do you call them? Where all the Olympians stay. The quarters. There's a name for it. Basically all the athletes stay there. It's almost like a campground of fucking super athletes. And it's just allegedly a fuck fest. Okay. And rightfully so. Listen, if we ever want to build a super world team, send in all the greatest athletes of all the different countries and just let them go at it. I'm talking Royal Rumble genetic selection. All right. Mix it all up. That would probably end racism. If we just had a Royal Rumble of every country of genetic selection where it was just like, you know what? Everybody just put it in a cup, mix it up, and pass it around. 99 bottles of... Listen, okay? You get the picture. But that would end racism because it'd be like, well, who's to blame? If we just mixed every country and we just all became a melting pot, there would be no more racism because we'd all just be really tan people. Just a bunch of olive people running around, and rightfully so. Dude, I am the American dream. Okay, the American dream was always people just mixing. But you know who has the most underrepresentation? Mixed babies. Okay, because it's not like, yeah, you're a fucking diplomat. You're like from both cultures. No, they just say, nah, you're not either. You're neither. You're teeter-tottering on the fence. You got no spine. In a true race war, your boy would be taken out first just so there was no mole, just so there was no spy playing double agent. Okay? I don't know what I would do if there really was a race war. Because I'm light-skinned enough to probably blend in with the white people and be like, hey, I'm Italian. And then they'd put on some fucking reggaeton or something, a dance, music that involves rhythm, and then they see these hips going. They just see me fucking just feeling it. As soon as I bite the lip, just dancing, they're gonna be like, whoa. What was your last name again? And I'm like, Smith. They're like, nah. And they'd be like, answer me quick in 3 seconds. What goes good with rice and beans? I go, tostones. And they go, fuck. He's one of them. Pew, pew. I'm gone. Okay? But we're underrepresented. We don't get any vote. We don't get anything when it comes to the culture wars. It's just like, it feels like you're a kid when your parents are getting divorced, is what a mixed person is in the great debate of racism and cultures. You don't get a say on if you're going to split up or the parents are going to split up or stay together. You're a casualty of war. They're just like, hey, we're going to figure this out and then we'll decide what's happening to you. That's what it feels like when you're mixed. I'm like a foster kid and we're like, hey, we don't know where you're going to end up, whose house you're going to stay at, where you're going to spend Christmas. But you just stay put for a while and we'll figure out what to do with you. You know, that's what it feels like. But we are what the goal always was. I remember I hung out, I don't know if I told this before, but I hung out with, I was at a barbecue in Texas when I lived in near Dallas. And there's some Puerto Ricans there and everything. And I'm always cool with full-blooded Puerto Ricans. I love them, respect them. I understand. Listen, I lived on the island for a few years. I understand the plight of the Puerto Rican. Okay, the ones that grew up on the island, that were raised there, how the struggle of living there. But here's also the other thing. I don't pick where I was fucking born. I love all cultures because it's like, that's just who you are. Fucking spice it up, season it up, wherever you got, fucking rock it. But I was hanging out and my buddy to someone's dad who was there goes, yeah, Evan's Puerto Rican. And then he goes, oh, really? And I go, yeah, you know, my dad's from Mayagüez. I'm half Puerto Rican. And he goes, okay. And laughs as if he was Picasso and I was some kid who just did a fucking finger painting. I just made a fucking doodle out of spaghetti noodles and tried to put it on the fridge. And he went, oh, no. We don't put such things on this. Like it was a stainless steel fridge. He's like, no. That goes in the trash. You can put that in the shed out back. Where at? There's no room to shed. Behind the lawnmower. Behind the lawnmower, there is a bin where all the trash and the grass, the grass, green, it goes in, you just put it in the trash. They will hang it up in there till Thursday, the trash comes. But then he goes, oh, okay. And I just laugh because I'm like, all right, that was very condescending, but all right, sir. And then he just goes, yes. Like a minute goes by and I remember we're standing around this fire and he just out of nowhere, he's drunk by the way, and kind of swaying. And he's just there, eye half closed. And he's just like out of nowhere, a new conversation has already started. And my buddy and I are still there and we're talking. And all of a sudden the guy leans into me. He just goes, but I am a pure Puerto Rican. Out of nowhere. Like he was thinking about nothing else. New conversations, new questions were going on. He's like, and it was just fucking with him for me to think I could identify as a Puerto Rican. And he just had to let me know there were levels to this shit, bitch. And he looks at me and he goes, hey, but I am a pure Puerto Rican. And I just look at him, I go, oh, okay, nice. What the fuck do you say to that? And then he goes, he goes, like, I am pure Puerto Rican. And he needed to say it again to reaffirm it to me. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I forgot, I said something like, oh, the rice and beans taste different to you or something. And then my buddy started laughing because he was like, this is getting weird. And then the guy goes, I am from the island and I am pure. I said, okay, sir, you have yourself a nice time. And that man ended up messing up his hand and losing a couple fingers in a work accident. So I don't want to say karma is something that happens in life, okay? But guess what, bitch? You're only 98% Puerto Rican now. Oh, that was terrible. Because I don't even know if those fingers would count as 1% Puerto Rican, Anyway, that's stupid. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, we have a good weekend of fights coming up this weekend. UFC 271. If you guys are watching, it's going to be a banger. It's going to be a banger. And let's talk about the main event real quick. Yeah. Sometimes we just have quick transitions, and that's okay. Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whitaker. Okay? It's a rematch. Robert Whitaker, the former UFC middleweight champion, versus the current Israel Adesanya, the GOAT, current middleweight champion of the world, beat Robert Whitaker for his title a few years back. Robert Whitaker was knocked out in the second round of that first fight. That first round was competitive. The very end of the first round, Robert Whitaker gets dropped. If there had been more time in the round, Israel Adesanya might have finished him. Here's the thing. You get rocked. You try to come out and fight that next round, you're going to have problems. It's a crazy thing to get dropped at the end of the round and come out at the beginning of the next round and not be affected at all. I remember sparring with at the time, he was I think I was competing at 152 in boxing. And this kid was a 135, I think, national Puerto Rican champion. Amateur. He had like 90 or 100 fights and everything and was fucking slick. And I remember he rocked me when we were sparring. And for one, it was probably because he was pure and I wasn't. But I remember my legs felt so weird. It's one of the only times I ever got rocked. Not even a handful of times was I ever rocked. And it's not because I'm tough or anything. I just didn't get in that situation too much. And if people start going crazy, I was always decent defensively. And I remember it was near the end of the round and I went to take a step and my legs weren't really working. And then the entire next round, I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. And you hear this all the time from fighters of this kind of thing happening where you never really recover. It's so bad when you get rocked or if you get dropped that in training, this can happen a week before the fight, 2 weeks before the fight, your brain hasn't recovered. Think about if someone punched you in the arm very hard and you have a bruise. That happens to your brain, whether you see it or not, on a cognitive level, where a week before you get knocked out in training, sparring, sometimes, a lot of times, those people, once they're in the actual fight, get knocked out with a punch that everybody's like, wow, that didn't even seem like a heavy punch. And then it comes out later that they got knocked out in training before the fight. And that's something that's interesting. So the point I'm making is that with this first fight is that we had a situation where he got rocked and dropped at the end of the round and came out the second round and ended up getting knocked out. Now, since then, both fighters have gone on to have great fights. Israel Adesanya has kind of cemented himself as one of the GOATs of the middleweight division, clearing it out. Now he's starting to go around the division again, roundabout lap at everyone. Robert Whitaker came back from that loss and had some great victories and evolved as well. In between that time, Israel Adesanya went up to 205 to fight Jan Blachowicz for the 205 belt, got beat with a wrestling game plan. And I think that's what's going to be a difference in this fight. I think Robert Whitaker came out and tried doing what he does best against Israel Adesanya at what he does best, which is striking, staying out of range, jumping in, jumping out. He tried making it dirty, and it actually played into Adesanya. And that's how he got dropped, and then that's how he got finished, was getting too aggressive. I think in this fight, if Robert Whitaker wins this fight, he's got to get more dynamic with more wrestling, make this a dirtier fight up against the cage. Israel Adesanya has those long limbs. He's very fast, and you got to get those arms and legs more tired, dynamically stressed out. You want him to have to be using tension up against the cage, having to get up out of his back, off his back, take him down, drain him. Sounds super homoerotic, but that's what UFC is, right? That's what it's all about, baby. And I think if we do that, like I'm in the corner, I sound like someone watching the fucking Super Bowl this weekend. We have a good game. We play our game. We had some losses over the season, but we're fucking ready. Fucking Cowboys. I think if that happens, I think Robert Whitaker has a chance of reclaiming his title. But it's also interesting to see Israel Adesanya. This is going to be, I think, the biggest test because Robert Whitaker was a dominant champion. And I think since Robert Whitaker, he hasn't fought the level of fighters that Robert Whitaker is, because Robert Whitaker was the previous champion and he's just, I think he is the biggest test for Israel Adesanya. If Israel Adesanya beats him again, it's going to be, I don't know who challenges Israel, okay? Because there's no one even coming down the pipe, I think, that could challenge him. So I'm excited for these fights. It's going to be very good. I would love to see Robert Whitaker win because I always love, I love when someone gets beat and has to come back and find a strategy to deal with that. There's a great co-main event fight, Derek Lewis versus Tai Tuivasa. I love both these fighters. Derek Lewis, Houston boy, and Tai Tuivasa. I love them both, and I don't want either of them to win or lose. I would like a draw, actually. No, I want these boys to get paid. But this is a hard one. I think Derek Lewis has that one-punch knockout. Tai Tuivasa has the youth and the speed and being more dynamic. And if I really had to make a prediction, I think I lean towards Tai Tuivasa, but I think that Derek Lewis can knock him out. I do. It's weird. I could see a first round, second round knockout for Derek Lewis, but I can see the same thing. That's the thing about the heavyweight division where they're both knockout artists. You're going to see it can go either way. It's more, there's a higher chance that anyone can get knocked out when you hit that level of knockout ability, especially both these fighters. But sometimes you see the flip side where they're so dangerous that it turns into a stalemate. But I don't feel like this is going to happen. I feel like this is stalemate proof. If this fight ends up going to a decision and it's boring, I'll donate $25 to any charity organization that someone DMs me. The first person to DM me a charity organization, if this goes to a decision and it's a boring fight, I'll donate. Man, on my word. I'll send you a receipt. Just don't make it disrespectful. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening to this episode. Okay, listen. I want you guys to know I love you. I respect you. Okay? I appreciate your time. I appreciate the energy that you guys give me and for just listening to me ramble. Okay? I'm a rambling fool. All right? You guys have been here for the good times and for the bad times, even if you didn't even know it. Even if you didn't even know it. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, I'll see you next week, and I still love you.